Good day, everyone. I am Kimberly Jane Kuwa, and today I will discuss leadership and organizational structure focusing on the operating value system in practice, or OVS. This will be our learning objective for today's session. At the end of the discussion, the learner should be able to first understand the operating value system and its role in effective school leadership and organizational culture. Second, analyze how leadership behavior influence organizational values and ethical decision making in schools. Third, recommend strategies to strengthen values based leadership for sustainable school improvement. To begin, let us first understand what an operating value system means. An operating value system is the application of an organization's value in daily practice. It ensures that values are reflected not only in written policies but also in actual behavior. For example, a school head receives requests from parents to change a student's grades. Instead of giving special treatment, the principal follows the grading policies or the grading system and ask the teacher to present valid assessment record. So this demonstrate integrity and accountability because decisions are based on policy rather than personal relationship. So when values consistently guide decisions like this, they become part of the school's culture. To understand how values become part of an organization's culture, let us look at Edgar Sheen's organizational culture theory. Edgar Shins explains that organization culture has three levels. The first is artifacts, which are the visible practices we see in schools, such as flag ceremonies, faculty meetings, and classroom routines. So the second is exposed values, or the school's mission, vision, and core values. The deepest level is the basic assumptions, which are behaviors people naturally practice because they have become habits. For example, when a newly hired teachers observe that everyone prepares lesson plan before Monday and submit reports on time, the teacher eventually adopts the same behavior without being constantly reminded. So this shows that positive practices have already become part of the school's culture. Now let us discuss the major concepts that make an operating value system effective. The first one is the core values. Core values are fundamental beliefs that guides an organization's behavior, decision, and action. They form the foundation of the operating value system and shape how leaders and employees work together. In DepEd, the core values maka-Diyos, makatao, makakaligtasan, and makabansa guides ethical leadership and everyday practice. Next one is the shared vision and mission. A shared vision gives the school its direction, while operating values guide how everyone works toward achieving that vision. For example, if the school's vision is to improve literacy, all teachers, regardless of the subject that they are teaching, will participate in the reading interventions. The principal may also allocate resources and schedule activities that support the reading intervention program. So when everyone works toward the same vision using shared values, school improvement becomes more achievable. Another important element is organizational culture. Organizational culture influences how teachers communicate, collaborate, and support one another. For example, during learning action cell sessions, those experienced teachers may mentor the newly hired teachers by sharing strategies and classroom management techniques. Instead of competing, they collaborate to improve teaching. This creates a supportive environment where continuous learning becomes part of the school's culture. A positive culture also strengthens ethical decision making. Ethical decision making means making choices that are fair, transparent, and consistent with the organizational values. For example, during teachers' meeting for committee assignments for the incoming graduation ceremony, the principal or the school heads may select coordinator or committee based on the competence, skills, experience, and willingness to serve of the teachers, not on friendship or favoritism. So this builds trust because teachers knows that the decisions are based on fairness. Ethical leadership begins with setting a good example. School leaders influence others through their own action. For example, if a principal expects teachers to submit report on time, the principal should also attend meetings punctually, respond promptly to communication, and fulfill administrative responsibilities. When leaders practice what they expect from others, teachers are more likely to do the same. Values are further strengthened through recognition and accountability. Positive behavior should be recognized, while responsibility should remain clear. For example, during recognition day or a faculty meeting, teachers who are consistently submitting reports on time or mentor colleagues or lead successful school programs or activity may be acknowledged through certificates or the school's praise committee. Recognition encourages others to demonstrate the same positive values. Schools also become stronger when stakeholders work together. We all know that schools cannot succeed without collaboration. A good example of this is the Brigada Escuela, where teachers, the parents, barangay officials, alumni, and community volunteers to work together to prepare classroom before the opening of class. Although each stakeholder has different responsibilities, they share the common goal of providing learners with a safe and conducive learning environment. These practices demonstrate how operating value systems are applied in schools. In Philippine schools, operating value systems are practiced every day. Teachers apply fairness in classroom management, school heads encourages participative decision making during faculty meetings, and schools involve stakeholders in crafting the school improvement plan or the SIP. So these daily practices are and values like integrity, accountability, respect, collaboration, excellence can help strengthen trust, teamwork, and schools' effectiveness. However, implementing values consistently also comes with challenges. One challenge is that personal values may differ from organizational values. Another challenge occurs when leaders fail to model the behavior they expect from others. Example, if the school heads frequently arrives late but reminds teacher to be punctual, employees may question the credibility of the school head or the school's values. Values are also difficult to measure because qualities like honesty and integrity cannot be assessed as easily as attendance or performance. Despite these challenges, values based leadership remains highly relevant in Philippine education. DepEd emphasizes values based leadership through ethical governance, collaboration, stakeholder participation, and continuous improvement. Even when school heads are reassigned, because we all know every 3 to 5 years there is a reshuffling of principals and school heads. So schools can maintain their operating values if teachers continue practicing integrity, professionalism, and collaboration. This shows that values should remain consistent even when leadership changes. Based on these ideas, what are the practical implications for educational leaders? For school leaders, the key responsibility is to lead by example and make transparent decisions. For teachers, values should be reflected in the classroom management, professionalism, and respectful relationship with learners. For educational organizations, policies, trainings, and performance evaluation should reinforce organizational values. When everyone consistently practices these values, schools become more effective learning communities. To conclude the key points for today's discussion, operating value systems transform organizational values into everyday action. Leadership is the driving force that shapes schools' culture because teachers and staff often follow the behavior demonstrated by our school heads or our leaders. When values such as integrity, accountability, respect, and collaboration are consistently practiced, schools becomes more effective, ethical, and learner-centered. So as a future educational leaders, our responsibility is not to teach values, but to demonstrate them through our daily decisions and actions. So these are the reference for my topic. Before I conclude my presentation, I'd like to leave everyone with this reflective question. First, how can school leaders make sure that the school's values are practiced every day, even when there are challenges? Second, how can school sustain its operating value system during leadership transitions, such as reassignment or reshuffling of school leaders? So that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.